Support for today's video comes from Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Use code TIFO at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com.
In late November 2021, Bayern Munich's annual general meeting descended into hostility and chaos, and ended with 800 club members berating club president Herbert Heine and chief executive Oliver Kahn, with chants of "We are Bayern, you are not. We are the fans you don't want." But why? Bayern Munich may be enjoying a period of unprecedented footballing dominance, but for the last decade, an off-the-pitch issue has been bubbling under the surface: the club's relationship with Qatar. In 2010, a month after FIFA had awarded the hosting rights to the 2022 World Cup, Bayern travelled to Doha for their first winter training camp. Presented as a footballing decision, they've returned to the Aspire Academy every year since, one COVID absence aside. And over time, and with increasing focus on the migrant worker crisis and other human rights issues in Qatar, that tradition has become an increasing source of angst and embarrassment among some club members. And in Germany, that does matter. Bayern are run in accordance with the 50+1 rule, which ensures that voting control of the club remains with its members. And that ensures a level of accountability which doesn't exist elsewhere in Europe, particularly in England, where private ownership allows for more or less strategic autonomy. The other implication of 50+1 is an issue which German clubs have long been trying to overcome. Without the option of selling majority interests to wealthy investors, they must rely on the more traditional revenue sources to compete continentally. Income from match days, from broadcasting contracts, and of course, of particular relevance in Bayern's case, commercial relationships. And the latter is the source of controversy. Since 2010, the club's involvement with Qatar has been deepened. In January 2016, Bayern announced a new sponsorship deal with Hamad International Airport in Doha, operated by Qatar Airways, with then CEO Karl-Heinz Rummenigge declaring it an important step in the club's internationalization strategy, and announcing also that part of the cooperation is that together we will promote social projects and a dialogue over critical socio-political issues. Although the deal did not make Qatar a stakeholder in Bayern, that was technically already the case. Adidas, Allianz and Audi all hold an 8.33% interest in the club, and the latter is a subsidiary of Volkswagen, in which Qatar holds just under a 15% share. Following the agreement with HIA, in 2016, the airport's logo appeared on the club's training kit, and in August 2017, that was upgraded to the first team kit, with HIA appearing as a sleeve sponsor on Bayern's shirt. Less than a year later, in early 2018, it was announced that Qatar Airways would be replacing Lufthansa as the club's airline sponsor, becoming a platinum or second-tier sponsor at a cost of around 10 million euros per year, more than the original HIA deal, as part of a deal due to last until 2023. So what happened at the November 2021 AGM? Well, really, the combination of growing dissatisfaction. Anger over the relationship with Qatar had flared before, but never as publicly, prominently or vividly as before a game with Freiburg, when supporters at the southern end of the ground unfurled an enormous banner showing club president Heine holding a blood-spattered vest and chief executive Kahn clutching a briefcase stuffed full of dollar bills. "For money, we wash everything clean," read the caption, as a clear accusation that the club was engaged in sports washing on behalf of Qatar. And this demonstration was partly in anticipation of an event which, in the aftermath, honorary club president Uli Hoeneß would describe as the worst he'd ever experienced at FC Bayern. Ahead of that AGM, a club member and lawyer, named Michael Ott, submitted a motion which called for club members to vote on whether to prevent the Qatar Airways sponsorship from being renewed in 2023. Qatar Airways is 100% owned by the Emirate of Qatar, it read. This country stands for massive human rights violations, and there moreover are serious charges of corruption in sports. Instead of effecting change, FC Bayern is actively helping the Emirate of Qatar with its sponsorship to draw attention away from these evils. With such indifference, FC Bayern damages its own reputation and falls short of its status as an exemplary model. After the meeting, however, when Ott attempted to introduce his motion to the roughly 800 members in attendance, Bayern's vice president, Dieter Meier, cut him off, citing a breach of the club's statutes and denying Ott the opportunity to make his argument or hold a vote. Meyer was heavily jeered and booed, and as the atmosphere turned increasingly hostile, Herbert Heine leaned into his microphone to formally end the AGM, leading to the scenes which were seen around the world and went viral across social media, during which several members called for Heine's resignation. Whether it was legally okay or not to refuse the vote on this motion, reflected Michael Ott, it would have been a question of good character to at least allow me to hold my speech that I had prepared. In the aftermath, Heine also struck a conciliatory tone, telling Kicker the following week that Bayern's board were analysing very carefully how this course of the annual general meeting could come about, and promising also that they will learn from it, and it's certain that we will rethink and intensify communication with our members. Not that either stance really solves the situation. The club's position seems best represented by Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who, as back in 2016, has consistently preached involvement with Qatar as a catalyst for social progress. We are of the opinion that we can achieve a great deal more by the way of a dialogue than by a permanently critical attitude, Rummenigge said as recently as 2021. If you look at the developments in Qatar since they've been involved in football, the country is developing. Nevertheless, with the 2023 renewal date for Qatar Airways sponsorship approaching and the World Cup destined to keep the country and its human rights record in an increasingly bright media spotlight for the rest of the year, Bayern Munich's relationship with Qatar certainly won't become any less divisive, nor, with increasing general scrutiny on sponsorships across Europe, is it likely to receive any less coverage. Today's video was sponsored by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. See the Lawnmower 4.0. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce those grooming accidents, plus it's waterproof. There's also the Weed Whacker, Manscaped's nose and ear hair trimmer, providing proprietary skin-safe technology. Join 2 million men worldwide and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TIFO at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code TIFO at manscaped.com.